Hi everyone, we are going to learn modern art, and this is the first video of modern art. Modernity in Europe and North America reflected the emergence of a new kind of society in the wake of the French, American, and Industrial Revolution. Driven by technological progress and characterized by rapid change, the 19th century gave birth to our industrialized middle-class culture of mass production, mass advertising, and mass consumption, including the mass consumption of leisure activities such as shopping, going to entertainments, and visiting art museums. Art museums themselves were a development of the 19th century, and they made art available to the public in a way we now take for granted. The first national museum was the Louvre in Paris. Art was now for everybody, no longer by the church or by the nobility. So many of the scholars agree that modern art started from Louvre Museum in 1793, and it ended after World War II. So during this time, the art called modern art, and after the modern art, it called postmodern art. And the modern art is divided by two. Before avant-garde and after the avant-garde. So we learned photography before, you remember, right? And the first photograph in the world is daguerreotype, came out of the world during this modern time. As photograph had developed, many artists abandoned the traditional art style and they tried new art styles. Because traditional art was not meaningful anymore thanks to the invention of camera, that also happened during this time period. But the beginning of the modern art movement were still realistic, and their art were based on observation because photographs development was just a baby step and it wasn't threatening for painters. However, after the daguerreotype, the photograph's development was accelerated, and by 1880, Kodak invented portable camera, and everyone could record their mundane life. So artists needed something new rather than the realistic art. That art movement is called avant-garde, means newest art. And after avant-garde, the art history began to write a totally different story. So before the avant-garde, there were three major art movements: realism, impressionism, and post-impressionism. And after avant-garde, diverse art movements arose: Fauvism, impressionism, cubism, futurism, Dada, surrealism, and idealism. In this video, we are going to see the art movement before the avant-garde. A number of artists broke away from the traditions of earlier 18th and 19th century art to create objective representations of the real world. The movement called realism refers specifically to writers and artists in France who were concerned about achieving social change after the Revolution of 1848. A realist artist sought to depict the everyday and the ordinary rather than the historic, the heroic, or the exotic. Their works unmasked for art viewers the true lives of the middle and lower classes. This is a realism artist Honor Darmier's lithography printing work of art. We saw this work when he learned contextual analysis before. He recorded a historically terrible event in this work. Let me read the tragedy story again. Major French cities, including Lyon and Paris, revolted. April 15, 1834. The Parisians stand barricades in the streets. During the attack of one of the barricades by the army, Transnomian Street, an infantry captain was killed by a shot fired from a house. The next day, the soldier will attack very hard rioters and will break down the doors of the building at number 12 Rue Transnomian, supposed to be the one from which the party was shot. All residents of the building, including old men, women, and children, were massacred. A bloody event that will remain in history as a massacre of Transnomian Street, imaged by the painter and caricaturist Honor Damier. And this painting, Stonebreakers, was shocking for its depiction of working class people on a large-sized canvas, a scale normally reserved for the heroic subject matter of history paintings. Corbet's painting highlights the backbreaking, monotonous work of the poor. The breaking of stones was a job taught by older generations to young men, and it was a job a man would have for a lifetime. The painting shows an older worker and his young assistant as powerful and unrelenting qualities that alarmed the upper classes. And a year before Corbett painted this work in the revolution working conditions and to low pay. The next modern art movement is Impressionism. The artists who came to be called Impressionists worked in individual, sometimes very different styles, but they were united in rejecting the formal approach of the art taught in the academy in Paris. Their art attempted not so much to portray exactly and realistically such scenes as a landscape or life in a city as to capture the light and sensations produced by the scene. The Impressionists formed a group to show their work together outside the official salon in eight exhibitions held between 1874 and 1886. Their subject matter was scenes of everyday life, rural landscapes, and life in the modern and growing cities of France. Impresses were often intent on capturing the essence of moments in time. Before Impressionists, artists who followed traditional method of painting gave their work a smooth surface. Impressionists, on the other hand, chose to reveal their brush strokes. The almost sketchy, unfinished appearance of many Impressionist works break away from the academic tradition of imply creating an illusion of three-dimensional space on the canvas. Instead, Impressionists flattened surface space, a welcomed texture created by the paint, and often allowed the canvas to be seen beneath the painting. Many Impressionist paintings do indeed have an apparently unfinished quality because the artists are interested in capturing instantaneous moment rather than creating a highly finished, technically flawless piece of work. So now we are going to see three Impressionist artists. The first Impressionist artist is Edward Manet. He was a French modernist painter. He was one of the first 19th century artists to paint modern life and a pivotal figure in the transition from realism to impressionism. Manet's paintings are hard to read. For this painting, why this front woman is naked and posed like that? Where is she looking at? Why these men are dressed up and act like there are only two of them? And what is the woman on the backside doing? Is she taking a bath there? So it seems like there is no relationship between the figures. Manet's painting is odd. And art historians still debate just what he meant by it. In modeling his figures, he focused on the highest and the lowest values, all but illuminating the middle transitional tones. As a result, forms such as the nude woman's body appear flattened, as though illuminated by a sudden flash of light. There is a video about this painting in detail in the model room. Please watch it for your understanding. This painting is rich in details which provide clues to social class. The woman at the bar is a real person known as Susan, who worked at a bar in the early 1880s. For his painting, Manet posed her in his studio. By including a dish of oranges in the foreground, Manet identifies the barmaid as a prostitute, according to art historian Letty L. Lego, who says that Manet habitually associated oranges with prostitution in his painting. The next artist is Claude Monet. Claude Monet stands like no other painter for the Impressionist style and as the French master of light. He was also a central pioneer of 20th century painting. When Monet traveled to Paris to visit the Louvre, he witnessed painters copying from the old masters. However, Monet brought his paint and other tools with him and sit by a window and paint what he saw. Monet was in Paris for several years and met several painters who would become friends and fellow Impressionists. One of those friends was Edward Manet. Impressionism Sunrise is a painting by Claude Monet, first shown at what would become known as the Exhibition of the Impressionists in Paris in April 1874. This painting is credited with inspiring the name of the Impressionist movement. Impression Sunrise depicts a port, Monet's hometown. Monet painted the same subjects in many times because the lights and the sceneries are different by the time, the day, and the weather. And he liked to paint the nature views outside to capture all the difference of lighting while he was painting. And this is another beautiful landscape painting. And he used brush stroke speed to show the time. Through this painting, we even could feel the windy weather. Monet was diagnosed with nuclear cataracts in both eyes in 1912 at the age of 72. His visual problems began much earlier. Soon after the age of 65, he began to experience changes in his perception of color. In his eye, everything looked blurry and yellowish and brownish to him. After he was diagnosed cataracts, he spent most of his time at his garden, and he left so many beautiful garden landscape paintings, and he died at 86. There is a video to show his beautiful garden with his painting he left in the model room. Please watch the video to see amazing masterpieces of Impressionism. And the next artist is Auguste Renoir. Auguste Renoir was a French artist who was a leading painter in the development of the Impressionist style. He depicted beauty and especially feminine sensuality. This painting is one of Impressionism's most celebrated masterpieces. The painting depicts a typical Sunday afternoon at the original Moulin de Margaret in the district of Montmartre in Paris. In the late 19th century, working-class Parisians would dress up and spend time there dancing, drinking, and eating. And he left so many beautiful portrait paintings like this. Look at the brush stroke on her hair. It is soft, but every single strokes are alive. And this is another portrait. This is unusual portrait style. The composition is not focusing on the figures nor the landscape. And even the kid doesn't show full torso in this painting. So he tried a unique portrait style in this painting. Renoir shows completed technique as impressionist through this painting. And there is a video about his life with his masterpieces in model room. Please watch the video to fully understand the artist. The next generation of artists admired many aspects of Impressionism, especially its brightened palette and direct painting technique. But they reacted in various ways to what they perceived as its shortcomings. Their styles are so highly personal that we commonly group them together under the neutral term post-impressionists, meaning simply the artists who came after Impressionism. So we are going to see three Impressionism artists: Georges Seurat, Vincent van Gogh, Paul Gauguin. Georges Seurat wanted to place Impressionism's intuitive recording of optical sensations on a more scientific footing. His reading of color theories led him to develop the technique of pointillism, in which discrete dot and dashes of pure complementary colors were supposed to blend in the viewer's eye. We learned his artistic technique in Principle of Art chapter for the optical color mixture, right? So he painted all the colors with color dots, but he didn't use direct colors. So he used optical color mixture. For example, to make green color, he used yellow dots and blue dots. And when the lots of color dots put together, they create new colors. And the next artist is Vincent van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh was a Dutch post-impressionist painter who is among the most famous and influential figures in the history of Western art. In just over a decade, he created about 2,100 artworks, including around 860 oil paintings, most of which date from the last 2 years of his life. He includes landscapes, still lifes, portraits, and self-portraits, and are characterized by bold colors and dramatic, impulsive, and expressive brushstroke that contributed to the foundations of modern art. Sadly, he was not commercially successful, and his suicide at 37 came after years of mental illness and poverty. The Starry Night is one of the most recognized paintings in the history of Western culture. It describes the view from the east-facing window of Asylum Room just before sunrise with the addition of an ideal village. This is his self-portrait when he had a year. And this is his bedroom painting. There is a video about this painting in detail in the mood room. Please watch it. And this is another his self-portrait painting after he lost his ear. He began to hallucinate and suffered attacks in which he lost consciousness. During one of these attacks, he used the knife to cut his ear. He could later recall nothing about the event. The last post-impressionist artist we are going to see is Paul Gauguin. Paul Gauguin worked in an impressionist style early in his career. Gauguin was interested in expressing a spiritual meaning in his art. All these he sought on the sun-drenched island of the South Pacific, where he journeyed to escape what he called the disease of civilization. This is one of his famous paintings, Titan. The brilliant high-key colors of his Titan paintings reveal his depth to Impressionism. To this lightened palette, he added his own innovations, such as flattened forms and broad color areas, a strong outline, tertiary color harmonies, a taste for the exotic, an aura of mystery, and quest for the primitive. The woman's pose is derived from Egyptian art, legs shown in profile, shoulders depicted frontally. Gauguin believed that European art had been in thrall for too long to the legacy of Greece and Rome, and he looked to the art of Egypt, Islam, and Asia to renew it. And there is a video about his artistic journey based on his journal he left in the model room. I need you to watch this video to understand this artist's creative viewpoint. We are going to continue to see the modern art after the avant-garde in the next video. Bye.